All right, so I just got here to scenic Kamp Kenan down in South Florida. Right now I'm like kind of walking around just checking out all the enclosures, all the different stuff he built. Everything is just so, the first thing that springs to mind is everything is so large and set up in a very natural way. Like, you know, just this tortoise pen here, you can see, you know, they've got their heated, you know, shelter. They go in there this time of year. They've actually had a cold front move in the same time that I came down. And so everybody's kind of hanging out inside these, but when it warms up, they have all of this space here. Coming over here, I believe this is the sulcata area here. They have all of this. They've kind of doing what sulcatas do, like mowed down the grass pretty short. Coming around this way, this is the big natural pond. So let me see if I can not get shocked. Oh, Jesus. Oh gosh, that's an electric fence. So if you watched anything on my channel, you know I like to do things the natural way. And kind of sitting here with this grandis in the background, you can see that it's just a very natural environment. The turtles are behaving in a very natural way, that just like they would in the wild. You get a cool evening and they're gonna haul themselves up on this bank to generate some heat and kind of go through their day. And then, you know, as the day wears on, the heat comes up, they'll get back in the water and move back to doing all the stuff that they normally do. So let's keep walking, let's see what else we can see. I know there's a lot of cool stuff around this pond, so kind of hoping to see all the native turtles, a lot of the Asian stuff that he has, and then I also know that there's iguanas and curly-tailed lizards and a bunch of kind of invasive non-natives. So I'm kind of excited to see that stuff. I don't have that in Georgia, so. This is like a nice little rocky area going towards the edge of the water. It's an anhinga. That's a aquatic bird. I always like having rocky areas around my ponds because you know, lots of little turtles will actually like kind of go and get in there and find shelter, find little things to eat. You're gonna have like little tiny clams and crayfish and, you know, all these small little organisms that get inside there, and they can either be turtle food or they can kind of help the process of naturalizing the water and naturalizing the habitat. I'm really big on plants, and I love how Kenan has, like, you know, these cypress growing right here in the water, just like you would see in the wild, you know, in South Florida, throughout the American South. You know, the cypress growing in the water, and then also getting that fat trunk and growing the knees that you see on the side of the bank right there. It's just like, it's literally just like walking into a wild habitat. You know, even though he feeds these turtles and, you know, maintains this pond, for the most part, they're living in a very wild type setup in a very natural way. And I think that for somebody like me, at least, that's kind of the goal, is to kind of set things up so that once you kind of get it, you know, you maybe kind of operate like little bumpers on the sides, but you just let the turtles naturally do what they're gonna do. And they kind of take care of themselves. Really hard to beat the feeling of just walking through here and seeing just, you know, all of these plants hanging over. You feel like anywhere you turn, you know, you could stumble upon something. You know, like you've got all this, like right here you have all this like overhanging banana, just right up to the fence too. Just super awesome. You know, walking around here, there's all these little cypress knees. This is, you know, for somebody that likes to keep stuff outside, this place is, it's like a paradise. You can spend an entire day out here just looking for stuff. So kind of continuing here along this natural pond, just as somebody that keeps aquatics, you know, looking at this, you just get so many ideas. So one of the things he's created here is this, he's taken an existing pond and created this kind of like oxbow area, and, you know, he's got these little shallow spots, and, you know, the animals that are gonna live in here are gonna have like all of this to kind of hang out in, and all these land areas, bases of these trees and plants. One of the most awesome things is when you come up from, you know, this low area and you cross over this rock wall and you start walking up, you see this waterfall, and then just on the other side of this waterfall, is this beautiful aquascape pond. I mean, to see it in person is a whole different animal than seeing it in videos. I mean, it's just that good. It looks just like a Florida spring. You know, freshwater lilies, freshwater grasses growing on the bottom. It's got like a wetland filtration system with all these little plants growing in it, and now snails are starting to take over in there, and you know, you've got the cichlids going on, and it's, as time goes by, it's becoming more and more of a natural habitat. All right, so right here, this is the wetland filter. This is kind of the heart and soul of this pond, because this is what's filtering this water. This is what's creating all that crystal clear water. This, you know, shallow, rocky, gravelly kind of setup, you know, pulls all that water down, filters it, sends it back down this cascading little stream, goes back into the main pond, and this goes on all day. But then the neat part is like, this is its own separate little micro habitat. It's got its own, like, you know, little flora and fauna that live in here, kind of almost separate from the main pond, because it's a separate habitat. It's really incredible to see, because, you know, as somebody that keeps turtles, you look at it and you're like, oh, well, I would put this there, I would put that there, and it's, you know, this one ecosystem that they built has these little micro areas that you could have different things in. You look at this and it just gives you so much, you know, so many ideas, you know, for what you could do at home. And I really like seeing this. I never really thought about doing something that's a larger sized, shallow, rocky area strictly for filtration, and it's pretty brilliant. I mean, you look at it and you're just like, wow, this is, you know, pretty close to perfect.
Take care. What's up? What's going on, everybody? Stoked you made it here, Greg. Are you going to be like a disembodied voice on this thing? Or do you like turn the camera on you every once in a while?
Yeah, I can do that. Hey.
Right, very good. There's Greg. But yeah, man, we've known each other a while, and it's cool you made it down. I was riding bikes today, so I'm a little stiff. I don't know what's going on. My age is catching up with me. But yeah, basically, you know, what I love about what you do is you try and work with nature and try and keep animals that you know thrive in the area that you live, and that's kind of what I'm doing down here. And as per our discussions, it's, you know, when I first moved to Florida, you think Florida is absolutely perfect. You know, you hear all these stories about what animals you can have, but the reality is there's a lot of little technical stuff you got to do, because Florida, turns out, is not perfect. Right now we're having a cold snap, so the temps are in the 60s right now. Last night, low 40s, man, out here, about 44 degrees. That's cold. So I've been a little stressed out because I've got African cichlids and I've got tropical turtles in these ponds. But the key is trying to keep the water warm. So you'll notice I've got like my hose in the water. I basically run well water. The well water comes out of the ground at 72 degrees, and as you guys know, the water is always warmer than the air. It's more of an insulator. So I'm not so stressed out about my aquatics so much as I am getting all these big tortoises in. But let's go see the galops. And if you pay attention to my channel, you guys will have seen I built this new house for them so that they have more room, because they've been locked in for 2 days. I just let them out. Being that it's in the 60s, I feel comfortable with them coming on out. They've got black shells, and there's where they'll be most of the day. They're just gonna lay in the sun, but it's so cool to see this, man. I love these tortoises. And they're super friendly and super interactive with me. I've had these two since they were hatchlings, since they were very small. The nice rotund tortoise right there, that's my buddy Nostradamus, the Aldabra. Then the next tortoise is Socrates, and then finally the big gal is Darwin. But Nostradamus, if someone were to pin me down and say, who's your favorite tortoise? I just love this animal. It's just a beautiful, friendly, good disposition. I loved watching him grow. He was that big when I got him. And so now he's about 145 pounds at the last weigh-in. And that was 15 years ago. August of 2004 at Daytona, I got that animal. And then this one is Darwin. So again, this animal, most of the animals that you see here are animals that were in need of a home. And Darwin lived in Marin County, California. And I was able to fly across the country and fly her back, which was amazing. So I was able to get this animal and bring it back here. So she'll live here for the rest of her life. And then Socrates was actually an animal that I did purchase years ago from a friend, Jerry Mata. and that was that was 2005. So he was that big, or she rather. These two are females. That's a male, and they're just a really special breed of, or I wouldn't say breed because they're two different breeds. They're two different species, but I just really love these animals. You know the deal. If you're watching this channel, you guys know that turtles and tortoises are pretty amazing animals. I love the survivability. I love the fact that they're living fossils. I love the fact that they take things slow where I'm hyperactive and ADD. And being that I'm ADD, why don't we move on over and we'll see some more stuff.
Do you ever like have days where you kind of have a moment of pause and you kind of, I don't want to say stop and smell the roses, but you do kind of have days where you like, oh my God, I did this, and you just take it all in?
Yeah, without sounding like too earnest or anything, I'm 100% cognizant. I'm not jaded, do you know what I'm saying? Like I completely know what I have here, and I stop. A lot of what I do is just watch the animals, because when you just sit and watch the animals, they really teach you so much, and you learn what their needs are. They actually, in so many words, without so many words, they talk to you. That when you can kind of just sit back and enjoy everything you've built, or enjoy the animals interacting with these habitats, like here we are in the aquascape recreation pond, and it's, yeah, man, nothing is lost on me, brother. Like, I'm just, I always like to joke around, like I'm a poor little white boy from Long Island, New York, and Florida's always been my dream. I never thought I'd have the opportunity to ride BMX bikes for a living. I never thought I'd be able to live in Florida. I always dreamt it, I always tried for it. And what's really fun and kind of just shocking and sometimes is the fact that, like, having always dreamt about something like this, a house with reptiles, a backyard pond like that, and to see it realized, it is, man, it's amazing. I love it. I love it here. It's nonstop work, but I have those moments. Maybe I'm sitting on that lawn chair, just enjoying the sun and the turtles. So this pond pretty much represents, like, I don't know, my life's, like, this was the biggest dream so far, is to have a pond you can swim in. It's right in your backyard. And I just got to give it out to Greg and Ed from Aquascape, because they really did something amazing for me right here. It's just beautiful. It's too bad it's cold, man.
So you've been keeping reptiles, for a fairly long time. I would imagine probably same amount of time as me, over 20 years.
Oh, easy.
How have, in the last 5 years with YouTube and pet tubers and people keeping stuff and sharing all that information through YouTube and social media, how do you feel like that's kind of changed the landscape of what people like you and I do?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, it's good and it's bad. It's good because you can get information out. And we have a platform. Like, I used to work in television, and I did my action sports stuff, and that's just kind of how I earned a living, and I fell into that. But the thing about TV is you have to adhere to what producers or the network executives think is cool, or talk the way they talk and do what they want. Whereas on YouTube, it's great because it's made people become, there are certain celebrities now, they're truly self-made, and it really allows people to dictate what they want to watch. That being said, there's also, I have a love-hate with it, because I've always tried to do the right thing, to give the right info. I make mistakes, that's normal. No one person can know absolutely everything, but I think, like your channel, my channel, guys like Chandler's Wildlife, Serpa Designs, those guys really seem to be coming from a great place, because we're trying to spread info. I always thought the animals were exciting enough. You don't need to do a dance with them. You don't need to stress animals out to make exciting videos. But then there are, I've said it before, and like some people, might think I'm sliding on someone. I'm not. I'm just saying that sometimes these young people get very, very big by buying animals and like, you know, just unboxing things, and they don't necessarily take the time to really understand what they're getting involved in. You know, and here we are, like, I've made mistakes, I know you've made mistakes, I'm not saying everyone's perfect, but at least, you know, the problem is I never made those mistakes while the whole world's watching me. And I really believe that in 5 years, some of these young people, number one, they're not even going to be doing it anymore. I really believe that if YouTube changes, the appetite for this changes, once they're not making money anymore, I guarantee you they will not be involved in animals. They might want to segue into something else. They're always going to be chasing the dollar as opposed to chasing information and really loving these animals. I would be doing this whether YouTube existed or not. I just have to, you know, I'd have to find a way to do it, but I do it. That's the only thing I see. That's the only problem I see, is that sometimes some of these people are getting too many animals. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They're giving out really bad info, and they're really, at the end, two factions suffer. One, the people that are watching them for information, because now you're just creating people that have no clue. You're perpetuating it. And then two, the animals. You know, the animals are the real ones that suffer because they're not disposable, in my opinion. You know, it's not like trading cards, or it's not something to be coveted. It's like a really cool thing when you can build these habitats and watch animals thrive in them. And I might be rambling on, but you asked the question, that's how I feel.
And I completely agree, because when I see that, my thought is, you know, not as much about the person doing it and doing the unboxing, but the fact that, you know, they may have, you know, 500 to 1 million viewers, and all they're doing is unboxing with hardly any follow through on what they've already unboxed. And so people watch this and they, you know, they're taking in the part of like how exciting it is to get a new animal,
right?
But the reality of what you said, you'd be doing this whether there was YouTube or not. And the thing is this is a lifestyle. You know, it's not, you know, buying animals is not getting things. It's a lifestyle. Like, you look around at what you've done with your place, and this is the price you pay.
It's a lot of work. I mean, there's like, what people, you know, I try and show it. That's why, listen, straight up, man, like, I know I'm never going to be like the biggest animal YouTuber. Like, I've abandoned that years ago. I don't care, because I'm not in it for that. I'm in it to give you a real reality show. Some days you'll see me just building things. Some days I'm out here cleaning poop. I'm trimming trees. I'm fixing clogged drains and pumps that are broken. Like, that's probably 70% of my life is maintenance, you know? And you know that as well when you have a collection of animals. Just because someone's putting things out there doesn't necessarily mean it's true or real. People have gotten very savvy what they put out on YouTube, and it's just as contrived, I think, as some of these reality shows, you know, where they say it's reality, but it's not. You know, the reality is sometimes pretty darn boring. It's freezing, it's been cold. My reality is my animals have been locked up, and I'm out at 2 a.m. with a laser gun, making sure that they are not, you know, they're not sick, or the heaters are working, you know. So I'm not bagging on those guys. I mean, you can, if you unbox animals and that's what you do, but you're taking care of them, that's great. I don't care. Like, I'm not hating on that. I'm just kind of very wary about what message you're sending. And, you know, you're talking about having people get excited about this stuff. It's like a dopamine flood. Like, it's straight up, like, when people are watching an unboxing, it's as if they're unboxing it. And it's like their anticipation of what's in the box.
What's in the box?
The anticipation is almost better than the actual reveal. So it's a weird thing. I mean, it's very, human beings can be programmable, if that makes sense. Like, and so right now it just seems like those big videos are all about a dopamine flood rather than, I've always just wanted to be an information giver. That's it, you know. So whether that makes me an old man, I'm boring or whatever, so be it, you know. It is what it is. Hey, look, there's Pinky's out. She came out to try and get some sun. What's up, kiddo? She's being shy because of you, Greg. But yeah, man, it's just like, you do your best. And like I said, nobody is perfect. Zoos aren't perfect. Animals will die. I try and give a true representation of what's going on. I try to follow through with certain animals too. I mean, animals that you might have seen sick. I know we had Lumpy was sick, my big sulcata. We healed him. It was a happy ending. But there have been animals that I've had, and I show you, like, sometimes they die. I try and be as honest as possible, because I feel like if I could be honest on my channel, you're honest on your channel, in the long run, it'll be better for the animals, better for education, and better for myself, because I'd rather grow on YouTube at a slow, steady pace like a tortoise than get really big fast and then disappear. I want to show people that, you know, when you're involved in these animals, you're in for the long haul. They live a long time, and you can stop, smell the roses, and enjoy animals that you've had for 15 years. Okay, the Galops and Aldabra I've had for 15 years. I don't need a new animal to get me stoked. I just need to appreciate what I have and to see them grow. That's the rewarding thing. To take an animal that started out that big and turned out to be 140 pounds and potentially 600 when it's done growing. That's the achievement. And those kind of achievements take a little bit longer. Later.